Hey friends, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another Lux Lessons with Lisa. I think that's what we're calling this series. First of all, apologies for the background noise. We are actually getting floors installed today, and stay tuned. I think you're going to see this video tomorrow, but I hope to get a renovation like before and during, like so far, hopefully this week. So fingers crossed, but I have a lot of content that I want to get out. I am going to cover the Nordstrom anniversary sale. So for those of you who are in the United States, although I do know that quite a few of viewers in like the UK also shop the anniversary sale. So hopefully that would be helpful. I have been shopping the anniversary sale since, oh my gosh, wow. I'm trying to think. I think Jack was like 6 maybe when I first started shopping it. So he's 22. A long time is my point. I've been shopping the anniversary sale. So I am planning on covering that. I'm not sponsored by Nordstrom. They don't know exactly I exist. I just love shopping the sale. And yeah, that's how I often, you know, become an icon at Nordstrom, is because I tend to spend a lot at the anniversary sale. But anyway, today's video, you don't care about that. I thought I would do this as another get ready with me. I do have to film some other videos today, and I thought, you know what, this is the perfect opportunity for me to chat with you all while I get ready and talk about, you know, somebody else's video. So today we're going to talk about actually 2 of Dale from Dale's Addiction. Again, I will have her channel and the 2 videos that I am specifically speaking about, or you know, giving my thoughts on in the comments below. But it is her one video was about bag creep, and the second was about the luxury content that she consumes. So I'll talk about the luxury content I consume and, you know, kind of go with that. So, but let's start with the bag creep. Again, I will put all products that I'm using linked below so that, you know, if you want to shop them, if you're interested, you can. But right now I am actually trying this Hydra Beauty Camellia Water Cream from Chanel. This was actually a recommendation from Emily when we went shopping at Chanel when she was here. That was one of the products that she wanted to pick up. And since they have a whole, you know, beauty section, a Chanel beauty section at that flagship store, she picked that up, and she was so sweet. She's like, I had never tried it, and she was like, do you have some samples you can give her? So thank you, Emily. So yeah, so I am enjoying it, although I feel, oh, okay, I thought maybe I was done with this sample. I got 2. Andrew very kindly went and unearthed with the kind of beauty person that was there 2 of these little samples. I think I'm almost done with that one, but it's a really nice light moisturizer slash primer, I guess. So anyway, we will, as always, start with concealer. So what is the definition, or what was Dale's definition of bag creep? And I would say it's a very appropriate definition, and it is basically the bag version of lifestyle creep. So if you don't know what the lifestyle creep is, it's basically when you allow your lifestyle to get better and spend more as your income increases. So, you know, for example, you may buy a bigger home because you have more, you know, income to spend on housing. You might buy a nicer car. Again, all of these things because, you know, you have more income. You might take more frequent, more expensive, more luxurious vacations, things like that. You might eat at nicer restaurants, right? I mean, when I think about where David and I ate when we were in college, or technically in grad school, oh my gosh, like going out to dinner and spending, now granted this was 30 plus years ago, but you know, going out and spending like $5, and I mean for the 2 of us, $5 for a meal was like, that was like living it up. I think about if we lived at the same level now that we lived when we were grad students and basically literally had no income at all, except for, you know, like our student loan, like stipends and whatever. Oh my gosh, like we would be millionaires many, many, many times over. And, you know, that's part of the problem with lifestyle creep, right? Is that you adjust your spending to meet your new income. So instead of keeping your level of spending and your, you know, sort of lifestyle at this level when your income was this, but your income keeps going up, but you stay here, that's the way you become wealthy much more quickly. Spoiler alert. So anyway, but I have noticed what Dale was talking about as far as bag creep a lot in the last few months. And I will give you a couple of examples of that. So, you know, I think one of the reasons why I think we see it more, especially with bags, is just because of price increases, right? I mean, you can't get the same bag for the same amount of money that it was 2-3 years ago as what it is now. So if you still want that Neverfull, for example. So here's a good example. So my daughter Morgan bought her very first designer bag. She was doing a summer internship. This is when she was still in school, but she was doing like a full internship with a public accounting firm in Kansas City. And they went to Minneapolis on like for a conference or something. And she took that opportunity. She wanted to reward herself. She worked very hard. She was working 1,000,000 hours at my husband's company, and she wanted to do something nice for herself, and she wanted to buy herself a Louis Vuitton Neverfull. So she went to the Louis Vuitton boutique in Minneapolis because, again, we had nothing in Kansas City, and she bought her Neverfull. Now, if I remember correctly, a Neverfull, when she purchased it, was like $1,300-ish. Maybe it was $1,340, $1,320. She got the very classic size, you know, monogram print, Neverfull. So she purchased that bag in the summer of 2019. And like I said, it was around $1,300. The current price of the Louis Vuitton Neverfull is $2,030. So let's just say it was $1,330. It's gone up $700. It has gone up more than 50% in the last basically 4 years. That's a lot. So just by virtue of, you know, price increases alone, if you want that bag, you have to be willing to pay more, right? You have to allow that bag creep, in a sense. And I remember Minnie from Minx for All, this was again a couple years ago, saying that her ceiling for a canvas bag was $2,000. She would never spend more than $2,000 on a canvas bag. She just did not think that it was worth it. Well, watch Minnie's channel, and she's definitely backtracked on that statement because she has to. I mean, it is very hard to find an actual bag, okay? I'm not talking about the pochette accessoire that, yes, can be turned into a bag. You know, if you want a full-fledged handbag from Louis Vuitton in canvas, you're gonna be paying over $2,000. So just by virtue of price increases, we see bag creep. So I myself have definitely been spending more on bags in the last couple years. One, because of price increases, but two, just because of creep, in the sense that just my brain has changed. Now, you know, I'm sure part of that is because of where I live now, and so I have so much more access to things, and you know, I can see more, and so therefore I'm buying more because of that. But I have definitely found myself making comments about bags and how much they are that I never would have said a few years ago. For example, when Emily and I were out shopping, I'm using this Chanel bronzer again, when we were out shopping and we were at Fendi, and she was trying on that beautiful peekaboo in the gray, like stone, I think is what the name was, ostrich, and there was another one in like kind of a beige shade or whatever. I mean, they were gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. It was $8,900. It was a mini peekaboo, $8,900. 3 years ago, I would have thought that I would have been like flabbergasted by that price. But no, when Emily was trying on that bag, I was like, yeah, that's actually a really good price for that bag. On what planet are we living that $8,900 for a bag? Now, granted, it is an exotic, so, you know, obviously that's gonna up the price because I don't remember what the current price of a regular peekaboo is. I'm sure it's probably close to $5,000 now, $4,700, something like that. I don't know. I should probably know that. But yeah, I mean, like, I cannot imagine having said that $8,900 3 years ago, if you had said to me, hey, what do you think, you know, do you think $8,900 is reasonable for a bag? I would have been like, hell no. Like, my threshold for buying bags 3-4 years ago was honestly probably no more than 3,000. Like 3,000 was like pushing it for me. Like that was a lot. But you know, I've seen this like creep in other areas too. For example, shoes. Shoes is a primary example for me. I used to be of the mindset that I would rather spend $100 on 5 pairs of shoes from Payless. You guys even know what Payless is? I think it's defunct now. I don't even know if Payless exists, but it was like this really cheap shoe store. But I would rather have, I was definitely a quantity over quality girl. I would rather have 5 pairs of shoes for $100 than 1 pair of shoes for $100. Now, you know, I still buy my, you know, thrifty, not expensive shoes. Don't get me wrong. I don't like only buy designer or expensive shoes. But yeah, you best believe that when I shop the anniversary sale coming up, there are going to be a lot of shoes over $100 that I'm going to buy and won't blink an eye at it. So it just changes, right? Because we make more money now and because I've sort of allowed myself to kind of dip my toe into spending more money on certain things, it just becomes like, okay. I mean, the fact that, you know, Nick wants, you know, he wants like better quality shirts and whatever. And, you know, normally there's no way in the world I would ever spend, you know, $60, $70, $80 on a shirt for one of my kids. But he's careful, I have to say, unlike somebody else in this family who tends to get things all over their shirts. But, you know, he takes care of his things, and it's not like that other person doesn't take care. They're just clumsy, I think. Anyway. But yeah, and I was like, you know, honey, I would be happy to, because I know they're gonna last. I know that they won't get ruined. You know, certainly I would never pay that amount of money if, you know, my kid was 3 and they're gonna spill spaghetti sauce every single time they eat, you know. I mean, I'm not that stupid, but you know, for now he's 14 and whatever, and like I said, he takes good care of his things. I would be willing to do that. So there is definitely bag creep. Like I said, I've had shoe creep. I've had a lot of those different kinds of creep. And finally, I think we just grow accustomed to, and it's not that we get desensitized to it, because, you know, we certainly all get up in arms every time Chanel has this huge price increase, you know, and increases a classic flap by, you know, 18% or whatever. But yeah, we get upset about it and we get all up in arms about it and we all complain, and, you know, those of us who are content creators make videos about it. But then, you know, we all just kind of settle back in. And I mean, I can tell you, especially from being on some of these Facebook groups, this is not stopping people from buying a classic flap. I mean, I will tell you, those people that are into classic flaps, you know, these aren't the $100,000 a season ready to wear people, okay? These are just people like you and me, who love pretty things, they love designer bags, they happen to love classic flaps, and so you know what? They're gonna buy whatever seasonal color classic flap that comes out in 23A because they love it and they collect classic flaps and they want it. And yeah, now it's $10,000 whatever, $10,200. They'll pay it. And like I said, I think we get annoyed with it, but at the end of the day, if you love something, you end up sort of disregarding the price. So next, let's move on to Dale's video about the luxury content she consumes and sort of her perspective on buying, I think, now, and you know, we'll see how much we get into for that. But let me talk about the YouTube content that I consume. I'm laughing because Nick just came home from a haircut and he's not happy. He thinks he looks like Humpty Dumpty's son. Anyway, I would say 90% of the content that I consume on YouTube is luxury. I watch some planning videos. I watch some like financial type videos. I watch some beauty videos, only not very many. That's where my YouTube watching started. But like I said, probably 85 to 90% of what I watch is luxury YouTube. Now, I asked you all on Instagram, I put a poll up and asked you how much of your YouTube viewing is luxury content. And the majority of you said that 50% or more, so there was like a 50 to 75% and then greater than 75%, and I don't remember what the ones above it were, but the bottom line is that the majority of you marked either 50 to 75% or above 75% in content. So those of us who are watching this video are luxury lovers and hence are watching luxury content. So therefore, what is on my feed is predominantly luxury YouTube content. Now, it was interesting, and unfortunately I forgot to screenshot this response, but I don't look at my feed very often. I pretty much go with my subscriptions. That's probably not a good thing to do, just because then I am basically limited to those people that I follow and that I subscribe to. I will touch on that in another video that I'm going to talk about, as far as, you know, sort of the clickiness, or anyway, it's a response to another YouTuber's video where she sort of talked about that. But I really should do a better job of looking at my, like, just my For You or whatever recommended video feed is, you know, basically what's on your home feed, just because I would get served probably some different content, and not necessarily different genre of content, but different creators. And I would really like to do that. That's important to me. And like I said, I'll talk about that in another video. So one of the other things that Dale talked about in that sort of content that you consume, and therefore what type of, and the amount of luxury or or things that you're buying, had to do with a term I honestly think that Steph from Handbagaholic coined, which is low luxe. And my perspective of low luxe is like the Mulberry, Demilier, what else? Strathbury, Polen, Aspinall of London, that kind of tier. I would still probably put that in, from my perspective, and this is one thing that I'm going to talk about, above like the Coach and the Tory Burch and the Kate Spade. I don't know what those brands would be like in other parts of the world, but those are kind of the three that I think of when it comes to the United States. So I sort of think about those here. I think of Low Luxe being what are sort of considered luxury brands, but not the top tier luxury brands, right? Not the Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Dior, Chanel, Hermes, like not those. Fendi, of course. And this is where I am going to differ with Dale from her video. So Dale said that she won't even buy from those because she's found, just from her past user habits, that when she had some of those bags in her collection, she didn't use them. She only reached for her high tier, her full-on luxury bags, right? Only her Chanel and Fendi and Louis Vuitton bags. So for her, the sort of rise of this low luxe content, which is now being fed to her apparently on her, recommended feed, she has no interest in. And so she's not watching that content. And so therefore, her YouTube content consumption has actually gone down. I don't subscribe to that. I find that that is interesting. I think it is refreshing. And here is a controversial topic or perspective. In my opinion, luxury is whatever it means to you. And by that I mean luxury, to probably a lot of us, is Louis Vuitton and Chanel and Hermes, etc. But somebody who is, lower middle class or a lower socioeconomic perspective, for them, a Kate Spade or Coach bag is luxury. And so who am I to say that they're not into luxury? Like, it's just your definition of luxury. It may be different than mine, but it doesn't mean that it's not luxury to them. I think a lot of things are like that in life. I think that a lot of things are impacted by the perspective that you're coming from. So, like I said, when I was younger and, starting out in my career, if I spent $40 on a pair of shoes, that was huge. Like, that was a lot of money. And so I feel like bag creep sort of has a tie-in to what we're talking about here. I think that as our income increases and as our lifestyle increases, so does our definition of luxury. But I think, again, in addition to just feeling like everybody has their own definition, I think there's a place, even in my collection, for low luxe. So for example, where I live in the Northern Hemisphere, in New York, where, we get, probably 3, maybe 4 months of warm weather, it may not make sense for me to spend $6,000 on a wicker bag or, something similar in a summer bag, because I'm just not going to have the opportunity to use that bag enough and to get that cost per wear. So that's why when I did my summer bag video, I thought, you know what, I'm going to include a whole bunch of price ranges, because not everybody wants to spend that much money on a seasonal bag. And frankly, I don't know that I would want to spend $6,000 on a wicker bag. And so what I might do is sort of like what I did with the Loewe basket bag, is buy a very low price dupe, or something that is a similar style, to see if it's something that I would use on a regular basis or get enough use out of that it would make sense for me to spend the luxury price that I deem as luxury on that particular item. Another example is the Brandon Blackwood bag that I bought. Now, I bought that, one, because I wanted to try the brand. I saw some people talk about it and it intrigued me. But secondly, I wanted a red bag in my collection. And again, I'm not sure how much I would wear a red bag. So I'm not necessarily ready to drop $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on a red bag from a luxury house that I deem as luxury right now. Maybe if I find that I carry that Brandon Blackwood bag a ton, then I will invest and go spend, you know, $6,000 on a red bag at Chanel or whatever it is. But I need to test that out first to see if it even makes sense for me. And, you know, I don't want to make a $5,000 luxury mistake, which I then have to go and sell because I found out that a red bag isn't really what does it for me in my collection. And now I'm stuck, like I said, with a $5,000, $6,000 bag that now I'm going to get, you know, $3,000 for on the pre-loved market, because the pre-loved market has definitely taken a downturn and things are a lot more affordable, but they're also then in turn paying less for your items, or you're not being able to sell them for as much anymore. And so it can end up saving you a lot of money by doing that. Similarly, sometimes I just want to try a style. So again, that Loewe basket bag was probably a good example of that, right? It's a particular style. It's a very, you know, unique, and it's a very open toe. Not only is it summer, which is sort of one aspect, but the actual style of the bag is something that I wanted to try, again, before spending luxury money on it. Another example would be that I talked about in that video, I don't even remember which video it was, where I am thinking about buying a Kelly 25 Cellier dupe, so that I could see if that's something that I would even use. Because I think it was in my Kelly review, because I'm not sure I know how I'm feeling about the Kelly in general. Is it the size of the Kelly I have? Is it the Retorn versus Cellier? Is, you know, what is it about it that's making me not reach for it as much? So I'm not gonna go put a Kelly 25 on my wish list if especially now knowing what I know. That just doesn't make sense. So buy something lower end that sort of serves the purpose and gives the same feeling, so you can see if that even works for you, or in this case, me. Then sometimes you just want a fun bag. And again, you don't want to spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on a fun bag. You don't want to worry about it. It's not that important to you. And so that way you only spend a smaller amount of money and you get that fun bag experience. And I guess my last point, and something that may or may not be in contrast to what Dale said, is that just because they're lower priced doesn't mean that they're lower quality. I think we've all seen that the quality of some of these luxury or high luxury brands is not so great. And so some of these other brands like Aspinall, like Polen, like Strathberry, like Demilier we've seen have really great quality bags, but for $300, $400, $500, $600 for a bag versus $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for a bag. So you may actually get better quality for a lot less price. So while I 100% agree, and have even said this in another video, that you should never settle, right? That you should never just go with the it'll do bag, right? I think I've used the example before that if you really want a Chanel 19 bag, don't buy a YSL puffer bag because you think that that's gonna be okay, when you really want the Chanel 19 bag, and maybe you don't have the, what is it now, $6,000 or something to spend on the Chanel 19 bag, but you do have the, you know, $2,500, $3,000 to spend on the puffer. But it's not going to scratch that itch, and you're going to be unhappy about it, and then you're going to end up selling the YSL bag because you really wanted the Chanel 19. You're going to end up losing money. Anyway, it's not worth it. So I'm not saying that you should settle, okay? That this is a completely different discussion. My point is that I do think that there are some very valid reasons to look at Low Luxe, to consume that content, because there are purposes that it may serve, or that they may serve, that make sense in your life. So that's it, guys. That is my video, my luxury Lux lesson with Lisa for this week. Like I said, if you haven't watched Dale's videos, I will definitely have those linked below. I appreciate Dale putting the content out so I could, I guess, sort of give my perspective and take on it, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would love it if you would do so. It means a lot to a creator when you subscribe to their channel, and I am getting closer to 2,000. I'm trying to hit that number before my 1-year YouTube anniversary, which is in about the middle of August. So if you can help me out with that, I would really appreciate it. And also don't forget to turn the notification bell on so you know every time I upload a video. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to have a dialogue about this in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about Low Luxe. Are you getting fed this content on your recommended page or whatever it is? Are you watching those videos? Do you agree with Dale? Is it not for you? You would never buy something from this sort of Low Luxe category? Are you only interested in the high tier brands? Or do you see a place for some of these bags and these designers in your collection? And also let me know, are you experiencing bag creep? Have you found yourself saying, yeah, that's not a bad price for that you would never have said, you know, 2-3 years ago? Comment below, let's have a dialogue. I would love to see your perspective. Wherever you are, I hope you are having an amazing day or evening, and I will catch you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.